So what happened was I couldn't find a guy to marry me by the age of 40. And I ended up having anonymous sperm donor kids, 2 beautiful kids. And then I was exhausted for 7 years. And I woke up one day and I'm like, shit, I haven't had a date or sex in 7 years.
Oh shit!
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I'm like, and all my male friends are like going, girl, you got to get yourself out there. Like, what are you doing? There's this app called Tinder. And I'm like, oh, that's a bit scary, because during that time it had become really popular. Anyway, I jumped on and I put a couple of photos up, and so the adventure began.
Yeah. So wait a minute now. I can't let you run past you said you wanted to have kids. Now, what made you want to do that? Because, some people would say, I just want to do it the regular way, the natural way. I don't want. No.
Yeah. Well, I really wanted to do it the regular way. And for whatever reason, I wasn't. Well, actually, I'll give you a real honest answer. I used to drink too much, and I think I stuffed up a lot of relationships, and and pushed guys away really. And so, and then I gave up drinking in my mid-30s, and dated, but it wasn't right. And I know some people would run out of time and go, look, this person will do, but I didn't want to do that, and I did, and no one offered anyway. So I'm like, okay, how important is this? And I decided it was really important. So I did it. Cost a lot of money, but it was worth it. I just laugh. I tell my kids they're my credit card kids.
Yeah, because the reason why I asked that, because some people will say, man, I'll just go out and find a man or find a woman and have kids. Well, I ain't doing all that.
Look, you could have gone to the pub and, had a random one night stand and, but the thing is, and I know some people have done that, but for me, I thought of the future. So where I live, it's one of the most highly regulated places in the world. So I knew that my kids could find out who their donor dad was when they're 18. I knew the health condition more of the man that I chose to be the donor than I would have some rando. And then also I just wanted the clarity and security of knowing that I was responsible and no one else was responsible. And also I wouldn't, how would the man feel if he didn't even know he had a child? Do you know what I mean? So it was sort of a fairness thing as well. Okay. So that was the reason.
Okay. So what made you get on Twitter? What do you like about, I'm sorry, what made you get on Tinder? What do you like about Tinder?
So the guys that I was hanging out with, that was the app of the day. Although these days it's Hinge and Bumble are pretty up there as well. It was quick, it was easy, and in the beginning, and I don't know that a lot of women say this, but I did just want to get laid. I've got my kids, I've got my business. Wasn't looking for a partner, and I'm still not. So it was an easy way of meeting nice guys and getting laid, and I learned a lot. And so what happened was, as I was chatting to these guys, some of them were quite frustrated because they weren't getting laid, and they were telling me all their stories, and then some of them became friends, and then they'd be asking me for advice. And so I ended up writing a book about it because the numbers are against men in terms of, it's like nearly 80% men on Tinder.
Oh, wow.
But I noticed that a lot of them were doing really well if they had their formulas. And this is not in a mean thing. They're not trying to trick women, but they just had really good formulas. Putting up good photos, showing an interest in the woman, getting her off the app as soon as possible. Like some really simple stuff that, being, a little bit of innuendo to see where she's at with that, So all those things can be really easily done because women, eventually most people want a relationship, but in the meantime, there's a few of them are up to having a good time.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't know the men and women ratio on Tinder. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's pretty full on. Yeah.
Wow.
So, and then guys get despondent. And so where I'm coming from too is I like men, I like them a lot. And often women say what they don't want, or you did this wrong, or how dare you send me a dick pic, or whatever it is, where I wanted to come from a place of kindness, of fairness, and give practical advice. Because, it's all right for people to tell you what they don't want, but what do they want? What do women want? So I wanted to come at it from a women's perspective.
Okay. So what made you want to even help other people with Tinder? How did you know you could do it? How did you know you could help them?
So I think my special talent, how we've all got a bit of a special talent, is around communication. So there's two things there. I know what to say in nearly any given situation. And the second thing is I am brave enough to talk about sex and things that other people aren't. So I thought it was a pretty good combination. Like in my book, I've even got a template for sexting. And I'm like, and then I go, because I'm an ex-teacher, I go, this is why it works. Because this guy has said this thing, but he's also complimented her within the sexting. Like, it's magic. So I wanted to just be really practical, because guys are really practical people. They like, what do we do? What do I do? And I'll do it.
Yeah, that's great. Because you're like the only person I know of that focus on Tinder. Yeah, I don't know. Most people, we focus on a little bit of everything, right? Or they'll help the person based on where they're at. But yeah. I think you're the only that I've ever seen that you wrote a book about it. That's different.
Yeah. But can I just say to you, if I wrote a book called How to Communicate with Women, or I wrote a book How to Get Laid on Tinder, which one do you think the guys are going to buy?
Are you laid on Tinder?
You're getting the same outcome, because if you communicate well, then you're more likely to get laid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's very unique, and that's a great thing. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But I just don't hear people promote it that way. They just say they just want to be all things to all people, and that usually doesn't work.
Yeah, because it is pretty scary as well. And what else has happened is some women, not many, but they say, well, as if men can't get laid, and they come at it from a really negative perspective, as if I'm saying, do the wrong thing by women, trick them, lure them into this situation where they get laid. I'm not saying that at all. It's about, there are women out there who just want to get laid as well. So,
yeah.
And then also, another stat that I really thought was fascinating is that in older life, there are very few single men. So what that's telling me, even in comparison to women, and I think what that's telling us is that men eventually like to have a woman or a partner by their side.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know what I mean? And so, but they've got to be at the right stage of their life to want that. And in the meantime, good on them. Let's get out and have some fun.
Yeah, that's true. As I've gotten older, now that you said that, there are more older single women than guys. I realized that. That's definitely true.
Yeah, and I've also got a theory that I think that there's this YouTuber out there, and I think he's on the Instagram as well, and I think it's called Cutes in New York or something. And what he does is he goes around and he asks couples, he stops them in the street, I don't know if you've seen it, and he says, how did you two meet, and what do you like most about your partner? And they tell their story. And I find it quite fascinating, because there's this theme for men around the partners that what they're looking for. And of course they need to find the woman really attractive. Mm-hmm. But then they want to feel, the other thing that they say is that their wife or partner is a really good mother. So that's what key thing that they want, someone who's a really good mother, and the other to their children. And then the other thing they want is a huge one, is to feel supported by the woman. And so I just find it fascinating that there's these just key things then the other thing about the other third thing was they want their woman to be kind.
Yeah, oh yeah. That's my favorite phrase, be kind.
Be kind. So they're not asking for a lot actually. They're just looking for these key things in a life partner.
No, guys are very, very simple. It's not complicated at all, really. If you be kind to a guy, supportive, nurturing, he'll give you everything.
I know, it's quite simple.
Yeah, it's not really that complicated. I think it's like most of the women, at least the smart women, they have figured out that what I just said, they don't complain. Nothing to complain about.
Yeah, and just also, like, even, it might sound a bit corny, but things like, I say to my kids, how can I show you love? Now, imagine if a guy said that to his woman, how can I show you love? Like, everyone get caught up on formulas and whatever, and she might just give him, like, a really simple answer, and then he's got direction of how to support her. Like, there's some real key, simple things that you can do.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, if the woman is not into you like that, she's not going to do it, regardless of what you say. Unfortunately,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so he's just if that's the case, you just move on.
And isn't it fascinating how it's just about matching? It's just about getting compatibility. Like that's the part that I find really, really interesting.
Exactly.
If you can get along with each other, and if your fighting styles match, your arguing styles match, and you can put up with it with the other person, or you can work with it, then I think you're onto a good thing.
Yeah, because I still have relationships with women, right? And they'll do anything for me. It doesn't matter how no limits. And I know it has to do with because of me. They're into me like that, right? But if they were to tell another woman the same thing they would do for me, they would think, "Oh, you're crazy." but that's how it is. You just have to find the right match for you, just like you said.
Yeah. So they don't do anything for you. So they're not very kind.
Yeah, they're kind, but let's say something happens. Things happen. That's just part of life, right? And I'll give you a good example. I had an accident. I wrecked my car, right? This is a couple years ago, and I realized that my insurance company took the rental section out of the policy, and I didn't know. So over here, it might be the same over there. When you wreck your car, they give you 30 days for a rental car until your car gets fixed in the shop, right? But being that I didn't have rental insurance, I didn't have rental coverage in my policy, I couldn't get a rental car. I mean, I could get one, but I would have to pay for it out of my pocket, right? So once I told my friend what was going on, she was like, "Oh, don't worry about it. Wherever you need to go, I'll just pick you up. Don't worry about it." And that was it. And
wow.
Most people would be like, "Oh, I'm not doing that."
Yeah.
Yeah, she was there. Shit happens.
Yeah, she sounds very kind.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but like I always say, I don't need people to be around when everything is hunky-dory and everything's all good. What about the times that things happen? the one that really counts. That's who you know who's your friend, your real friends are, who's really into you. You know?
Yeah, exactly. That they put themselves out to help you.
Yeah. Instead of, if you call people, they don't answer the phone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just not answering the phone. I've got this new thing at the moment where I've just decided quite a few years ago that I never expect anyone to pick up the phone or call me back, and it's lightning load. So now I just go, even if you even leave a message these days, but I sometimes just ring people and go, I'm just touching base or checking up on you, and it's okay. I'll try again another time, and it takes the load off. It's the expectation sometimes where you're like, well, I called them last Tuesday and they haven't called me back. Oh yeah, I don't even think like that. Most of the time, I try to call when hopefully they're not working, and I'll leave a message, but I don't expect them to call me back. If they do call back or text back, that's great. But I don't expect it. So I'm just like you when it comes to that. Yeah, exactly. And I think the same in dating. If I think in our head sometimes we've got these rules of how people should behave, and if we let go of those rules, like he's got to get back to me with this in time frame, or he's got to behave a certain way, or she's got to behave a certain way.
Yeah.
Then it makes it more fun and easy.
Yeah. The only rules you have is between you and that person.
Yeah.
That's it. And every relationship is different. It does it's not gonna. Every relationship is not the same. Just like every person is not the same. So that's how I see it.
Yeah, and as you said before, you've got to sort of find the match. Like, I've got a friend who she ended up with a guy. They're now married, and they text each other all the time, like 10 times a day. And then I've got another friend who go, oh my gosh, that would drive me crazy. So it's about finding that, like they like doing that, and other people's like, no thanks. Yeah,
exactly. Like I can give you an example. Like I don't call people every week. Maybe once, twice a month. Or maybe once every 90 days. But when I call, at least this one woman, she said every time I call and she look at the phone and she noticed that it's me, because my name will pop up on the phone, she smiles. So sometimes it's not about how frequent you call. It's really about the connection and the bond that y'all build,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's what I've learned, because it's some people have said, and everyone had probably had this experience where you meet somebody the first night and y'all hit it off, and it seems like y'all been knowing each other for a long time.
Yeah.
And that's how it is sometimes, it's that. But meanwhile, the person that you've been knowing for a couple months, all these years, it's like y'all still working.
Yeah. It's hard work.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
My mother used to say, like, if you're not in the honeymoon for at least 6 months, get out of there quick smart. Like, it's got to be good.
Yeah.
Pretty good in the beginning. When all the hormones are rushing around, if the person's still, the way she flicks her hair is annoying you, like, get out of there.
Yeah.
If the communication, and even more so, if her communication style is annoying you, get out of there. Yeah. And it doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. I remember this guy that I was talking to on Tinder, and he kept saying, I'd say, oh, look, I'm not up for a walk or whatever. I'm not feeling that great. And he's like, why? Oh, you just come out and you'll feel better. And he's just like arguing with me. And look, it's the tiniest thing. He didn't do anything bad or wrong, but it's just like, I don't think that it's going to work for me. Yeah. So it's just a gut feel, even if you can't really on it.
Yeah, always trust your gut.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's certain things you might can't look past or get past. You know, if that happens, I say, hey, you just get it, just move on.
Yeah. Yeah, and then also own your stuff ups as well.
Yeah.
And so, for instance, my friend, she just got ghosted. Even though I don't like the term, she just got unmatched. She had conversations with this guy. He was interesting. She said, let's have a chat on the phone. He sort of, you know, avoided it a little bit, but then he sent her another message and then she didn't answer it for a couple of days. And she went back on the app and he'd unmatched. So she was a bit annoyed because she did quite like him. But then she said, well, it's on me. I didn't reply to him for a couple of days. It would be very easy for her to go, well, the a-hole, he unmatched me, woe is me, all women are bad, all guys are bad, they unmatch. When really she went, look, it's a bit of both sides, but I own what my behaviour as well. And I think that then makes it easier as well, because you go, well, I played a part in it. Okay, cool. It wasn't going to work out. That's fine. Next.
Yeah. I mean, that happens. Sometimes you might talk to somebody a couple times on the phone, and you might even met once, and they might have just stopped talking to you for whatever reason. Now they might have somebody else. Who knows? Yeah. But hey, just move on, man. That's it. Yeah. So when you meet people, as far as coaching people, is it people that's already online, or is new people that's thinking about being online? As far as clients go.
Yeah, a lot of the people are older men who've been in a relationship, and then they've come out of a marriage, and then they've gone. Like the last time I met my woman at the pub. What do you call the pub? The bar. I met her at the bar. I met her at college. I met her, and then they've been in this relationship, and then they come out and they go, what do I do? So, and a lot of them don't need that much help. Just, a couple of discussions around and help getting on the app. What opening lines? So don't start with how are you? Because if we look at that stat around how many men are on there compared to women, how many women are going to get messages with how are you as a starting message?
A lot.
So yeah. Or even hey sexy. So some tips there. If you're going to get a lot of men who start with compliment you on your physical appearance, but they get that a lot. So even though women like it, they really want to be seen for more than that. So I'll give you an example. My friend she's overweight. She's actually, technically obese, but she lifts. She goes to CrossFit gyms and she's really strong. And there's a beautiful photo of her on her Tinder of her lifting. And so if I was a guy and I saw that photo, number one, she's got it on there, so she wants to show it off and she's proud of it. So instead of saying, hey, she's also got another photo of her in sexy red bathers playing pool on swimsuit. Now, she gets all the guys going, oh, you look hot in a swimsuit. But the guys who cut through are the ones like, I love a fierce, strong woman. It looks like you can lift heavy. Now, that's going to go, oh, yes, much more than the, oh, yeah, you look hot. So I think that there's things like that where it's just a simple thing where you can actually guys can cut through if they go for more than the looks, because the women get lots of comments on their looks. And then the other thing is you just want to disrupt the opening line a bit. So what's something great that happened to you today? Even something as simple as that is like, oh, what has happened today? I might answer that guy more than I would, hi, how are you? The other thing is you can just mix it up with some energy. Like I'll never forget this guy who wrote, it was Wednesday. He's like, happy hump day, and there's a little bit of innuendo there, but it's not hard, and it's a very simple message that's gonna hit the spot more than, hi, how are you?
Yeah, that's true.
Hey, and then you go, hey, How are you? Good. How are you? Good. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I always try to say something different based on their profile, you know.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of people are saying the same thing.
Yeah.
And they're saying the same thing and they're doing the same thing.
Yeah, and then also read the profile as well, you know. And so if you can't see anything in the pictures to point out, as you say, something different, find something that they've said in the profile, because then the woman goes, oh, he's actually taken some time to read the profile. Because a lot of men don't, which is fine. I'm not saying it's bad that you don't. You're just going on appearance, because we all do firstly and foremostly. But if you do match, then I'd go back and read the profile and go and choose something in there that I could find. And then the other thing people really like is we like Snap. We like finding something in common.
Yep. Like
you told me straight away at the start of this, I've been to Melbourne. I'm like, yeah, Snap. You know, we're in the same place. So, you know, that's a really good way to connect with people. So if there's something that they've got in there, like they play basketball and you play basketball, or like, you know, they live somewhere and you live you live down the road, or whatever it is, finding that people like to connect because it builds trust. So finding that commonality, I think, is a really good thing as well.
Yeah, that's true. That's good. That's great advice. So what made you want to write a book? It's a lot of work.
It was a lot of work. So here's a story. With Rich Dad, Poor Dad, author. I was listening to this podcast where he shares that he did a game for people around money, and
oh,
you know,
yeah.
He did a book to go with it, just a little book, but then the book went off. So I thought in the beginning I was going to do a course for men, and then I'm like, do the men really want to go through a whole course if they want to get laid? And I'm like, no, actually, maybe I should just write a book, and then they can pick out. They don't have to read it from cover to cover. They can just have a look at it. And then we ended up doing a podcast called How to Get Laid on Tinder as well. And so then guys can go into the podcast and go, okay, this one's 5 things men do wrong during sex. And it's kind and fun, you know, we have fun with it. But they might know that. Or there's one episode on good opening messages for Tinder. So I think they're like, again, if men need socks, they go to the store and buy socks. Or they go online and get socks. But like, they're direct. They go from A to B. They want an answer to that, they get it done. So that was the reason for the book. It's like, I want to get laid on Tinder. Show me. Okay, here's the directions. I'm being a bit simplistic with it, but you know what I mean? So that's where I started. And also, I really like men. I want to be kind. I did business coaching for about 20 years, and most of the clientele were men. And I really, they opened up to me, and I felt like I saw another side to them. I think they're amazing. And so I've just got this thing inside of me that really wants to help them. And then also I feel, this is just a bit, you know, maybe off topic, but I feel like older men in society are one of the most overlooked groups. You know, so like charities and stuff, let's help the women, let's help the babies, let's help what about the poor older dudes who've, you know, had traumatic things in their life, they've got no family left, they might be homeless, whatever it is, like, I don't know, it's just, I really feel for them.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, the older guy, yeah, we're on our own.
Yeah. And I just like, I don't know, I think they are. And then they're expected to just get on with it, you know, because you're men. I'm simplifying a lot of what I'm saying, but I just feel, I do feel for them. And I like them, and I think they have a, you know, I always go by that most people are good people. And they try to be good people and lead good lives. And sometimes just a helping hand in some way. And I know mine's, you know, it sounds trivial, but maybe I might help a guy learn about himself. You find